College has been interesting. We have the 3 or 4 teams that are the standalone favorites: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and really those 3 are in their own division in itself. But I'm noticing if you have a team that is going to play, take the points. I mean, we watched this BYU game. They're giving 20, I think it was 24 points, 28 points, somewhere in that range. You know, if you bet Utah State, you were covering the entire game. So after looking at the games and especially college, I think I'm going to be on some dogs this weekend for sure.
There's no doubt. And we talked about it on one of the other segments. You know, you're seeing 42-point spreads in some of these games. And the final score is 49-16. If your team wins 49-16, you should cash your ticket, but you're not.
Exactly.
What about the NFL?
Well, it's interesting because I'm actually in New Orleans as we speak for one of my best friend's 30th birthday. The culture, unreal. The food, amazing. But I'm going to be all over the Vikings this weekend. Jameis Winston isn't playing, and the Vikings are coming off a nice comeback win against the Lions. That offense is elite, and if you can, buy the half point, take the Vikings -3. That's my big bet on Sunday. The Saints have lost 2 games in a row. The Vikings are, they're coming off a big comeback win against Detroit, and I think the Vikings will roll.
Well, let's talk about the NFL season. I wasn't really looking for you to give me a pick right away. I was talking more about, all right, we're in week 4. So you've seen 3 weeks, not a lot of data. You've seen a home game or an away game or 2 of each. That's the most. Everybody's got at least 2 road games or 2 home games and one of the other under their belt after week 3. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? Looking forward. Remember, your goal is always grabbing a team that's going to cover for you 10 or 11 weeks and finding another team that's going to lose 10 or 11 weeks, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that's very interesting, and it seems like it more this season than I can remember in the last 10 years, but it's any team on any given Sunday can win. And it's interesting, and based off the records, we haven't had this many teams already with a loss this early in the season in a long time. I think we only have 2 undefeated teams as we speak. So it's interesting. And I think that with a lot of these teams having new players, they're finding their rhythm, they're finding their team. You're going to be in a better position taking the team getting points because teams are still coming into their own. I mean, look at what the Bengals did. Yeah, Tua got hurt, but the Bengals look great. They didn't look so good the first couple weeks. Everyone thought the Bills were going to go 15-1, undefeated. Who knows? But the Bills, they lost to Miami. So this season is very interesting because I think there's really no specific team that looks like the favorite, with the Bills losing Micah Hyde and losing to the Dolphins. So it's anyone's season. This season is completely up for grabs. I'm going to talk a little college and a little NFL, and like I was mentioning earlier, 3 of my 4 picks are dogs. So I want to start on Saturday, though. We have a few great games this Saturday. Kentucky is going to Ole Miss, and I think it will be a hell of a game. But Kentucky has already proven they can go into a stadium with a loud crowd and get the W when they beat Florida 2 weeks ago. I think that it'll be a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky loses, but I think that if they do, it'll be by less than 6. So I'm going to take the 6.5, and I do think Kentucky can win the game, so I will be throwing a little bit on the money line.
Yeah, Ole Miss didn't really dominate this past week. They were playing somebody they should have whacked pretty good, and they didn't, whether they were looking ahead or who knows. You never know, but that's one of the reasons you had mentioned when you get those 20-point underdogs, sometimes taking them is an easy one.
Yeah, and the book I use, I can buy a point, so I have Kentucky plus 7.5, and I think that having that opportunity to buy the extra point, and if they do somehow lose by a touchdown, you still cover, is a big jump in winning bets.
No doubt about it. All right, next one.
So the Aggies are coming off a tough game against Arkansas. Texas A&M is going to Mississippi State. Now I know Mississippi State has a great offense, but I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be close, and I'm going to be on the Aggies plus 3.5.